Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of 10 Minute Marvel. Today we're going to be talking about the Daredevil Born Again trailer, as well as there's actually a pretty big number of rumors that have come out this week, and some more news about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which is launching in, as of the time of this recording, 10 days.
Mm,
So,
That was me
with
getting excited.
So with that, I'm coming swinging in. It's your host, Petter, and joining me, as always.
As always, everybody, it's Greg striking out as he usually does. I think that was a baseball reference, was it not?
No, it was a Spider-Man reference.
Oh, your other swinging. I guess
Yes.
that makes more sense for the podcast that we do.
Yeah.
It's about
Ye-
Marvel.
Yep. My man in the chair.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm your man in the chair. That's right. God, I'm stepping up in
Yes.
the world, people. All right. If you're looking for ways to support this awesome podcast with the guy in the chair, you can find us on our YouTube channel. Just search for 10 Minute Marvel. Give us a like and thumb smash that subscribe button if you would. That would be very helpful and very appreciative. Find and follow us on Facebook and X. Hashtag 10 Minute Marvel there. And of course, you can leave a rating and review wherever you get your friendly, swinging neighborhood podcast from.
Yes, we are up to 201 subscribers, which is great.
I,
And
it is, but I'm sorry. I should tell you, I did make 100 fake accounts, and I might have kind of just messed with those numbers a little bit. I wanted to make you feel good. Happy New Year,
yeah,
Better.
I did my live, or I did my reaction and first impressions to the Daredevil Born Again trailer, and I got it up pretty quickly. So I think I beat a lot of the bigger channels, and I that had 72 views in the first like 2 hours, and then when all the big channels got theirs up, it's had seven more since then.
Well, we know what we got to do.
Be fast.
Be very,
Gotta go
very
fast.
fast. Yep. You got to stay up until the wee hours of the morning and wait for that launch, and then
Yep.
I'll leave
Well,
that up to you. They pay you the big bucks. You
thankfully
pay you the big bucks.
that was not that early in the morning. That was a 9 o'clock drop. I was like, oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Just as I'm settling in. So let's talk news here first. This one came as somewhat of a surprise, I think, to a fair amount of people, but the Marvel Snap phone game got wrapped up in the ban of TikTok. So it's the same parent company, I believe. And apparently they're so lousy with their data because it's China. Why do they care if your data gets stolen? They're the ones stealing it in the first place. That the separation of data basically meant wasn't enough that they couldn't really be like, oh yeah, this part's on, that part's off. It's
Oh,
ridiculous.
wow.
Yep.
It's good data management right there.
hmm High quality practices. For that
Yep.
reason alone, no other reason TikTok should be banned.
Now, in all fairness, I think they capture obviously some data, I believe, but I
Yes,
think most of the other platforms do as well. So
all of them do.
all of them do, and they are
We're capturing your data right now.
we are, but we
That's
don't
a
know what to
lie.
do with it.
Yeah.
So we just put it on one database and leave it. So
hmm
so if we
Actually, it's
ever get shut
just
down, the same thing will happen.
it's a series of spreadsheets, actually.
Yeah, we print
Pivot
off.
tables everywhere.
Yeah. Oh,
So then let's pop over to the rumors and a couple of them about Marvel eyeing a couple different actors for roles. Uh, Unknown roles at this point, but Uma Thurman and Bill Skarsgård.
she's coming back as Poison Ivy. No, I'm just kidding. That's a cross. Never mind. That's a crossover.
Yep. So who would you like to
Uh,
see either of them play?
Uma Thurman. Let's start with her because she's got great feet. Supposedly somebody told me that once. That's a nod. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I would like to see Uma Thurman, villain or hero,
I know
first of
that's
all.
kind of where I'm stuck on. I'm trying to think too, like within.
Ooh, um, oh my gosh. Blanking on name. That time of the night. Here it is. Brain shutting down. Forms into crystal or diamond Help me out.
John Malkovich,
There it is. John Malkovich,
Emma Frost.
played by Uma Thurman. Yes. God, that's good. Okay. Yes, Emma Frost.
I've thought about that as well. I've also heard the rumors of that they want to do a younger X-Men group, and I'm
That
not
is the
sure.
wrong direction then.
Yeah.
She's our age,
Mhm.
my age.
And so I feel like that would be a weird choice there. So Greg is 54, everybody,
Yep.
according to what you just said.
That is 54 in Greg's years. Remember, it's 2019.
Yes. So, yeah, I was thinking more a little bit of a villain role too, especially Emma Frost is both a villain and a hero.
Mhm.
So, sure, I guess that could work. But would she want to stick around? Emma Frost is a character that shows up in a lot of X-Men stuff too. So it feels like she feels like somebody they bring in for a role for a movie, maybe two.
Yeah. Yeah. Would what has she like but at the same time, what has she done lately? Like is
Hmm.
she I don't want to say she's needing the work, but like
I mean, she
is
definitely
she
doesn't need the work. She's made a
but
lot of
what has she
money.
done? Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
but
made tons of money, but like what has she done? Is this maybe kind of her thing where she's like Harrison Ford? I'm like, all right, she's thinking this is her money train till retirement.
mhm.
And
Yeah, I mean, a couple Marvel projects probably would be that.
right?
Uh, wow, I do not recognize anything she's been in the past. Okay, the most recent thing that I recognize that she was in, not because I recognize that she was in it, but because I've heard of it, she was in one episode of American Dad in 2014, and that's the last thing I recognize that she did.
So she did, yeah.
So, I mean,
Eee.
clearly hasn't been getting huge roles recently. But yeah, I'm trying to think. What if she was like a um now I'm blanking on it. Lilandra from the Shi'ar Empire.
Hmm. Oh, yes. There you go. I'm on board with that.
It's a role that she could do every once in a while, get a nice paycheck for it, but not such a big role that, or such a physical role that she's constantly having to be like step up for that.
Right. She was married to Gary Oldman. That's crazy. Sorry.
Random.
Just, yeah, really. I saw her IMDb and I was like, what?
Mhm.
Because I was trying to find out some of those movies that you were
Yeah.
Gattaca. I've heard of Gattaca, but
Yeah, that was before 2014 though.
oh yeah, them beautiful girls. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I do like that. Is it Yolandra or Lalandra? Or
I believe
the,
it's Lilandra.
not to call you out. I honestly didn't remember. I'm like, I didn't want to pronounce it wrong and then have people.
Lilandra Naramani
No, I think
is
it's good. I think that would be a really good choice, especially since X-Men's kind of the next focus.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, so Bill Skarsgård then. Most
Bill Scars,
recently best known for
the Crow
no,
attempt
for
at trying to
It.
make.
Pennywise in It, for
Uh,
sure. And he was in Nosferatu as well.
mm,
What about him as Mr. Sinister?
okay. I'm okay with
Just
that.
super creepy. Or Mojo.
Oh,
Like
Mojo.
mainly just doing face work. And
What about Arcade?
ooh, arcade could be fun too. Yeah, I like all of those.
Yeah,
Obviously, we're thinking villain.
right.
Um,
You go on the other side of it. Scott Summers,
that
Cyclops.
was the exact person I was thinking of. I think that would be awesome.
Archangel. What about Archangel?
Archangel could work too, but I like Scott Summers a
Okay.
lot as just playing like a super intense uh Scott Summers.
Yeah. How about my man Morph?
Morph, that would could be
Maybe?
intriguing as well. Like it would have to be Morph with a dark sense of humor,
Yeah. Well,
but that could work just fine. So, next up, this one actually follows off of a rumor last week around Annihilus. But again, Annihilus reported for Nova, but also reported potentially for multiple projects. And I dropped, when I shared it on Facebook, I made the comment, can you make him into a multi-show TV villain. Like it's something like how you have Netflix's shows that all culminated in the Defenders. What if you did Guardians of the Galaxy show where they're having to deal with the Nihilists? Then you're doing a Nova show where they're having to deal with the Nihilists. Maybe you bring in Starjammers or something like that, cosmic. They have to deal with the Nihilists, and then they all have to come together in kind of a big crossover event, almost a movie made for TV sort of thing to wrap it up.
Does Blue Marvel show up like, in Annihilus at all? Is there
No,
any connection there? Okay.
nope.
I can't
So the main
remember.
characters are like Star-Lord, Richard Rider Nova, Drax, a random girl that Drax picks up off of Earth. Yep, it's
Ooh,
weird.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, Moondragon.
Okay,
I know I'm missing a couple other Phyla-Vell and yeah, somebody else. But
okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that would be pretty cool if they were to do that in the more on this show side.
mhm,
I don't know that kind of stuff I get into because I like how they branch together or they
yeah.
it overarches throughout these different series. So
Yeah. Well,
I'm
and
cool with that.
I think it makes sense too because you can say like, oh, we have our cosmic television side of things, which is all going to culminate in a big villain in Nihilus. So that's why you want to watch that, but it's not required watching for the main events of the MCU, and you're able to keep some of the teams alive, and doing something like the Guardians.
Yeah. Maybe the second Fantastic Four movie does something with it. I don't know.
Hmm.
Baxter Building is
Maybe.
kind of involved. I
Yeah.
don't know. Was that last person you can think of, Madison? Maybe Madison joins the group.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know because
Yes.
she fits well in that group to me.
Obviously.
Um,
Uh,
Onward. Okay.
Onward. Marvel Studios is talking about a new CGI series set in the MCU. So a new animated, they particularly said CGI. I don't know if that means that it's going to be more 3D animated style, but even with stuff like X-Men 97, that did use a fair amount of CGI where they just very much laid the art assets over three CGI models that then kind of animated it. So you had that more modern feel, but the older aesthetic.
Sounds super expensive.
Eh, not really. Once you get or I mean, yes, it's animation. It's expensive, but it's not super expensive
Well,
for
they're
that.
talking about like how Hulk is was so
Mhm.
costly and like even She-Hulk was. Like it just seems like
Mhm.
if you're doing CGI work on that.
But it depends on what CGI you're doing, because it could just be CGI as in here's a wireframe
Okay.
of somebody.
Yeah, maybe it's not meant to look so realistic
Yeah,
compared to, what they did when they implanted
Hulk and
She-Hulk
She-Hulk.
Hulk
Yeah.
in an actual show. Yeah.
Yep. That's my thoughts. I mean, I don't think they would ever do a show that is purely about a CGI character and like CGI everything to look realistic.
Yeah. They would not do it like Arcane, you mean?
No, they're not
Which
going
is
to
not.
spend 200 million on a season.
But they should.
I forgot to stick this one up with the potential casting, but that was because there's actually, well, these two actually, names attached to these for these rumors. But first, DeWanda Wise as Storm is a rumor that Marvel is looking to bring her in. Again, doesn't fit with the younger X-Men, though I don't know that Storm has to be if she's one of the leaders. And it's not like DeWanda Wise is old. She's the same age as Greg.
Right. 33.
Yep. But she's been in stuff like Jurassic World Dominion, which I've heard things about,
That's so nice of you.
and Pool Man with Chris Pine.
Yep.
I don't know anything about, like, I haven't watched any of these things, so I can't really say.
Yeah, yeah, I mean she's done some Spike Lee stuff, so good for her on
Hmm.
that. She was in Jurassic World, at least,
Hmm.
which is better than the other one, the Dominion one, as far as I understand. Um, I mean, if we're gonna go based on looks, sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, totally fits, I would say.
Hmm.
Um, I have no other thoughts on this because I've never seen any of her work.
I
Sorry.
know.
Yeah. But yeah,
As
she's
much
40
as
though. But she's 40. So are they going to have an older Storm, a
mm,
more matured Storm in this role?
generally, I feel like Storm is one of the more mature characters on the X-Men.
Yeah.
Like
And she does
she's
not look 40. Like she,
no.
I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying like for her
Hmm.
longevity in the
Yeah.
MCU. So
Yeah. And then the other two actor rumors are Aldous Hodge and John David Washington, one of those two for T'Challa.
gotta look at Meldus Hodge.
We talked about it last week as well, and he was a name that I mentioned. He's in Cross, Leverage, Black Adam.
Okay.
I feel like he could Hidden Figures, he could do a solid job with it. I'm 38, so not super old.
The Invisible Man I heard is really good. Straight out of Compton. Not sure about that. Die Hard with a Vengeance.
I mean,
Uh,
he's been in a number of stuff.
Walking Dead. Cross. I've seen Cross, but I haven't seen it, but I've seen that
Yeah,
floating around in one of the stream sites. So,
it's
um,
76%, like Cross is 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, and he plays Alex Cross in it. So
okay.
it,
Um,
if people are liking it, must mean he's doing a good job there.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, sure.
Mhm. How about this one then? The next Thunderbolts asterisk trailer is going to show Sentry.
Hmm.
I say no. Don't do it. Don't do it,
Yeah.
Marvel.
Yeah. Are they really needing it that bad?
I don't think so. I know a lot of people that as excited for Thunderbolts as they are for Fantastic Four First Steps.
If they're
I,
gonna, yeah, I think so too. I agree with that from what I've read, kind of heard. Um, Maybe they just show because they had the little S symbol belt buckle thing, right? Can we just show like that, like the
Mhm.
midsection, and then just leave it at that? We don't show a face. We don't know. That way, people that are not as
Yeah.
familiar with it, right? Then they're like, okay, who's that guy? They don't put the two and two together, so or the
Mhm.
one and one together, whatever.
Yeah. No, I like that could work, I guess, but don't make it obvious and like don't show Sentry flying. Just don't
Right.
do it.
Yeah. Many demerits. Lots of
Mhm.
demerits for that Marvel.
Yeah. So then this one from Daniel RPK that both Shang-Chi 2 and Doctor Strange 3 are going to begin filming in 2026. Have we talked about that already?
Uh, I'm trying to remember if I read it or did we talk about it. I think I read that.
Okay.
So, no.
Okay. So I mean, we've been waiting for an official timeline of both of those at this point since they've been announced, basically.
Yeah. And people had a feeling
Mhm.
those are going to be the chosen ones, right, for the movies,
Yeah.
the next upcoming ones. Cool. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
About time on Shang-Chi.
Hmm.
Way about time.
Yep.
So, um, is that it that you got for?
Oh no, I have way more
All
rumors.
right,
We're
good.
still going strong.
I had one that I picked up today, and I was seeing if you heard it.
All right. Next, Strange Academy. That's back in the rumors, but this time the rumor is not just that Marvel is thinking about it, but that it's been green lit as a show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So that's not
I
being confused with the Doctor Strange movie, right? Like they're not.
Correct.
Okay.
Strange Academy, I mean, even the Strange Academy comics doesn't actually have Doctor Strange in it that much. It's his school that he mainly pawns off on other people to teach.
Yep. Wong and Madison.
Yep. In the MCU, that's who it would be. Plus Scarlet Witch. Um,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I'm trying to think who else is in there. Brother Voodoo.
Caecilius comes back.
Yes, that's what we want.
Moto comes back. He says he's sorry. Sorry about that.
Hmm.
Didn't mean to go
Doctor
rogue.
Doom comes in.
Yeah.
The Hood is there. Mephisto like has a guest lecture that he does for a semester.
Ned done sabbatical.
Yeah. So, continuing the rumor train, uh, Deadpool and Wolverine both appearing in Doomsday. Sure, why not? It's
Only makes sense.
mhm.
Or does it? It's fine.
If multiverse, it makes sense. I kind of, I kind of like the idea that we see. more characters in Doomsday than in Secret Wars. And we just really focus in on some of the key characters for Secret Wars comics, like Reed Richards and introduced Miles Morales and Tom Holland Spider-Man. And then, like, who else are the main ones? Like the new T'Challa, stuff like that, as I have a helicopter fly overhead.
I was wondering, I thought like you had this like a vocal effect for a little while. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the heck is that? Um, so you're telling me you'd rather have more characters show up in Doomsday than you would in Secret Wars?
Yes.
Really? Like I feel like Secret Wars is where I feel like it's the opposite. Like you're gonna toss all these people in because you're dealing with different parts. The world is sectioned off by these different areas with,
Mhm.
and so you would have,
Because you have to, in Secret Wars, or I should say, in Doomsday, you can show everybody going up against Doom and failing. And so you can show a lot of people getting pulled into Battle World, stuff like that. But in Secret Wars, you need to focus in on a specific team or group that forms across kind of that multiversal Avengers idea, and they're the focal point of the movie. And you don't want a bajillion cameos unless you're doing a bajillion cameos as characters who show up for that final fight versus who show up and are more so in the movie.
hmm, I'm gonna disagree. I feel like you need to know where those characters go, like what's happening with them. Like if you see them go somewhere, you
Well,
should
most of them are going to be dead at the end of Doomsday, too, in my opinion.
no.
And so it's just a few who are going to make the multiversal Avengers a thing. And I I want to see that group do something.
Okay. Yeah, I can see what you're saying if they're dead. Then obviously it's you just see it lying there, right? Or mangled or
Right.
whatever it is.
Mhm.
So that can kind of make sense. It just feels like the battle that they want to have.
You can still have the event endgame type battle, but much like with Endgame, how it wasn't everybody. It was kind of that core group for most of the film.
Yeah.
Do a similar thing. I don't want it to try and spread itself too thin by being like, well, we really want to get in Deadpool and Wolverine here in Secret Wars and Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but we also want Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in there. Probably should have both Professor X's, stuff
That's
like that. I think Doomsday has a better way to get past having that many characters in it.
That's true. If you don't want to you don't want to do it for the sake of showing off characters or crossover, or whatever. You
Yeah.
just because if you don't focus on the story, then it's not gonna be a successful movie.
Mhm.
If you're not gonna have something that people can latch on to, characters to latch on to, then it's gonna cause people just to feel meh about it, right?
Yeah.
So that does make sense. Um, Also why I think Secret War should be split into two movies. So
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's happening at this point. They're trying to get
no,
through
but that's my
multiverse
wish.
as much as quickly as possible. And I honestly I do think they did split Secret Wars. Okay, let's do that
Yeah.
again with the proper air quotes. Quote, split, end quote, Secret
Backspace.
Wars, end quote. So
Okay.
both Split and Secret Wars are quoted. I think that there's always been the plan for the two movies to be very intertwined, even before it was Doomsday. I think King Dynasty was going to be super important for setting it up. So much like in the comics, how you had or Time Runs Out.
Mhm.
Yeah, Time Runs Out and Secret Wars as two separate things. Those are basically one massive event. And so we're going to get see the same thing with it. It's just that the Time Runs Out piece is going to mainly be the focus of Doomsday, that sort of feel. And then Secret Wars is going to be more focused on the Secret Wars. And I think I'll be happy with that.
Yeah.
So next rumor, this one is a weird one because I've also seen a lot of the scooper places or like the talk about Marvel Facebook places without really acting like it's a scoop or any sort of news, have just been talking about Spider-Man 4 in the past week as if it's going to be like kind of a bigger event type thing. But Daniel RPK earlier in this past week said that Spider-Man 4 is reportedly more grounded. And then other places have been like, well, yeah, early versions of Spider-Man 4 were more grounded. Like, I don't, who knows at this point?
Yeah, that's it's just different drafts that have
Mhm.
they've been
Yeah.
right. So I mean,
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't seen anything additionally on the rumors of is Sony looking to sell Spider-Man asset back to Marvel or anywhere. It's yeah.
it all kind of I think some of this starts with people wanting like I want it to be more grounded, right? And
Hmm.
then I think maybe sure there were some iterations that maybe got leaked out there that were like, hey, this seems to be a little bit more of a grounded thing, but it never it's all in development.
Yes.
I think
Yep.
and I think I caught into that too, like, oh, good, they are gonna go grounded. And then we started,
Mhm.
oh, I'm like, oh crap, they're gonna go cosmic on this? How's that gonna work?
Yep.
So I fell into it. I'm not gonna lie, but
Yep. So next one is George Miller. We talked about it last week, how Chris Hemsworth had done introductions of George Miller and Kevin Feige. And the assumption at that point in time was like, okay, probably for Thor 5. George Miller would be directing that. The new rumor is potentially for a World War Hulk. And this comes from My Time to Shine Hello.
hmm.
So it's a good source in terms of scoopers. Obviously, scoopers are not 100% correct, otherwise they'd just be known as the news. But I could see something like that working well with George Miller's
Mhm.
style.
Mark Ruffalo is ecstatic about that rumor, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe he spread it. Who knows?
if it was confirmed at this point, we would know because Mark Ruffalo would have said that.
Yeah.
So obviously, this is probably a fairly sketchy rumor since he hasn't said anything.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think that'd be a pretty good fit for George
Mhm.
Miller. I would like to kind of see that unfold a little bit more, get a little bit more information on that.
Mhm.
But
Well, I think George Miller could have fun with characters like Maestro too,
mhm.
and just different iterations of Hulk-like creatures. This could even work as I mean, it's too, I don't know there's enough time to make it be something on Battle World, but
Yeah. Does it feel like the the what if the mech one kind of could take a little wind out of the sail of this one just because you're dealing with
nah,
I mean it's not the same story, I get it, but like you're dealing with a Hulk that is up against another sort of Hulk, right?
well,
And
not
then
really in World War Hulk, because
we
World
got
War,
Maestro
yeah, I guess you have Maestro.
Maestro really only for like the physical battles is kind of where my head is at on
Hmm.
this one. So
Yeah.
it probably really doesn't blow, anything or take anything away from the idea of a World War Hulk, but
Hmm.
it was just a thought.
Yeah, it feels like it's different enough because then, like, this is particularly with Maestro, it's generally Maestro up against not other Hulks. And even the storyline of World War Hulk, it's not Hulk fighting other Hulks, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
feels different enough. Final rumor before we get to the news, and we'll see if I have the rumor you have. Not second to last rumor. Vision and Daredevil Born Again both to start filming in the next month-ish,
I think you just said
February.
Daredevil Born Again.
Or yes, I did.
Daredevil season two.
Yeah,
Okay.
Daredevil Born Again season two. So
Are they calling it Born Again season two?
yes, yeah, the show
Okay.
is Daredevil Born Again.
Okay.
So those two is starting filming February or March.
That's exciting to me. I'm
Hmm.
glad that they're picking it up. And
Hmm.
yes, my news kind of rides along the same rails as this, but yeah, I'm glad that they're doing that and they're on top of it.
Hmm.
So,
So, uh, yeah, those two I'm excited for. But let's flip over to the news itself. We do have a few more news pieces because one of them is a weird one with the release schedule for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. 4 weeks, or is it five? 4 weeks of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. 29th, episodes 1 and 2, February 5th, 3, 4, and 5, February 12th, 6, 7, and 8, and February 19th, 9 and 10.
interesting. I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Okay. I mean, why
It,
not really with
yeah.
this? Like what, who cares?
Yeah. People are like, oh, well, Marvel must not have liked it that much. Like, that if that was the case, we've already seen them drop a show all at once that's a live action show.
I mean, I get
S-
the idea. I get where they're coming from. Like,
mhm,
just based on history, right? Of what
mhm.
the way they
But they didn't drop
release
Secret
these.
Invasion all at once. They had to know that was garbage.
They just needed some time filled, I think. Just
Hmm.
time to figure out how they're gonna handle that, the reputation of that movie, of that show. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
Hmm.
I'll hit up three
I
shows in a night
Yeah, I kind of
or a
like
week.
it with the fact that it's an animated show. So, because again, these episodes have to be short. These episodes have to be 22 minutes or less.
Yeah,
So, like 3 episodes dropping in one night is an hour, less than an hour of watching time.
perfect.
Mhm.
Perfect for me and my nightly watching schedule.
Yes. Captain America: Brave New World tickets are on sale. We haven't grabbed ours yet, but I will grab them soon.
Trying to get the details, the logistics
Yes.
figured out on that. It is
Yes.
Valentine's Day, so it kind of,
Yeah.
tread lightly,
Mhm.
those that are in a relationship and like
Yeah.
Marvel.
Yeah. I fortunately have the whole weekend, uh, including going like on the 13th to see it as well.
Hmm.
But then also this one, this one's was surprising on multiple levels. For on to hear, Raza from the first Iron Man film is cast for the Vision show. And this is Deadline reporting this.
I don't understand this, but
It's
I'm intrigued by it,
mhm,
right? Just where they're gonna pull that character, and like what path forward did he have
mhm.
to get to this point?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it like is this part of Vision's journey to refine like to find Vision's humanity again or
like,
something weird like
just
that?
retracing all the Iron Man steps, is that like what?
Something like that. Well, because Iron Man, like Tony Stark is his creator.
Right.
Um we already know James Spader has been cast for this as well. So,
What if he's trying to find that other guy, the doctor that died? Or like, what if he's
could
trying to like learn more about him to understand? I
Could
don't know.
be. Yeah. I haven't done a video on it yet, but I'm holding this up to show Greg. I'm going to do a video soon on the Vision or the Visions comic book run about Vision and his family
Hmm.
because I read that around the holidays and it is real good.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you haven't checked it out, I've done 2 other videos on comic books. I did Jeff Lemire's Moon Knight run, and then Jonathan Hickman Fantastic Four Omnibus One.
So
So
good.
it's so good. I love that story
Yeah.
that he's telling in that one. But neither of those are particularly relevant, other than that I will be talking about the Vision comic book run and then be doing a video on that and how it maybe will tie into stuff like the Vision show. So then the next thing to talk about is our main topic, the Daredevil Born Again trailer. And Greg has very kindly offered to recap all of the Netflix shows to help me get caught up.
I haven't slept in a week because I've been watching all these shows, all 200 hours of them, just so I can deliver this fine bit in, like, I don't know. I've lost all words too because obviously I'm so tired. The summary. There we go. No, I have no summary for you. I'm so sorry. Because I don't have that kind of time
It's
in
been a
my
while
life.
since you've watched it.
Yeah, it has been. Like I've seen all of them. Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, even Iron Fist.
Mhm. Defenders.
I don't know if I actually finished Iron Fist. I think I did. I think I made myself. Defenders, yeah, which was fine. I don't know. Um, but none, here's what I'll say. Daredevils, watch the Daredevil season 1 through 3. They are worth it. Yes, they're not perfect, but they are still very good. Jessica Jones season 1 is amazing. Season 2, decent. Season 3 got better, I think, if I recall. Luke Cage, Cottonmouth, probably the best part of that. The story is okay. It wasn't fantastic. But it was okay.
So mainly just watch Iron Fist.
So just watch Iron Fist because,
That's where it's at.
and it's where, yeah, it's completely worth it.
Mhm.
No, I probably can really just skip that, honestly. Well, that's not true. I would say the person that he kind of teams up with in that show, she was pretty great. I cannot recall her name. So, but she's kind of his sidekick, if you will, in a very loose sense.
hmm
So, um, in Defenders, I honestly don't remember much about. I remember Sigourney Weaver in there for some reason, I think. But
hmm
uh so there's your recap. That whole week of not sleeping. I just summed it up for y'all. You're welcome.
Yeah. Or what I'll actually do, and I'm gonna click on it, save this here. Where's
Are you
save
doing an
the
AI? Are you
video?
just asking GPT, like, give me a
Nope.
quick summary? That's what I should
What?
have done. God, I'm an
Yes.
idiot.
Yeah. No, what I did was I looked up the Defender Netflix Defenders recap. Um, and so there's a YouTube channel called Man of Recaps who has the Defenders Saga recap, all Marvel Netflix series. So I'm gonna watch through that uh before, well, actually probably
No,
not
no, no.
tonight, but
No, no,
soon.
no, don't do that. Watch Daredevil first in the first season of Jessica Jones and then do your recap.
I'm just going to do the recap because I won't get them done prior to Daredevil Born Again coming out. Which, by the way, if people want to know the reason why Marvel is dropping all of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man in such a weird way, it's because of Daredevil Born Again.
Because
That
otherwise it'll bleed
it's
into
yeah, Daredevil Born Again's what, March 3rd?
fourth.
4th. Are you sure?
I'm gonna say yeah.
All right.
I'm a betting man tonight. It's all that lack of sleep. I have no concept of.
March 4th, you are correct.
Suck it, Trebek.
But if it extended if it extended 1 week, it would be done immediately prior to Daredevil Born Again.
Well, that's fine. I
Yeah,
mean, to me, that's
which would have
fine.
been fine. It could have extended 1 week, but the reason they're not, and they probably never intended to drop one episode per week, is you'd have two competing Marvel shows coming out at the same time. So, yes, it's a
Uh,
weird drop schedule, but they're also doing it, I think, specifically because they'll probably be doing a fair amount of promotional work for Daredevil Born Again that week before. And again, they don't want competing.
well, and then we got Captain America.
Yep.
That's in
Which,
between that, right? So,
right. Well, that is in between weeks 3 and 4 of yeah, Your Friendly
right.
Neighborhood Spider-Man. But
But
yes,
it's,
again, spacing wise, like it makes sense
I mean,
in a weird way.
I would love to have two different timelines to see how that really plays out. Does it matter?
Mhm. Doesn't, yeah. I mean, how many people are not going to watch Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man until everything's out anyways?
Right.
Because it's an animated show and they don't care about an animated show, period, until people tell them it's good.
Mhm.
It's the same thing with X-Men 97 at least had nostalgia with it. But anyways, back to Daredevil Born Again and Greg's recap. Now that I've vamped long enough for him to get the recap from ChatGPT.
Yep.
That's again a
Nope.
lie.
God damn it. I didn't think you actually wanted me to do that. I
No,
would have.
no. I would have said something.
It would have been like a 15-minute,
Yes, just
like
monologuing
me.
from Greg.
Yeah.
But thoughts on that trailer?
Um, it's certainly to me, uh, seemed like they
You're not
course
concerned.
corrected. They course corrected in a way. Like, again, I don't know what was there before. It was a bunch
Mhm.
of courtroom stuff. It was not this gritty, from what it sounds like. It wasn't
Yeah.
going to be the
Well,
Netflix style show.
mhm.
But I'm glad that they, to me, course corrected and they have
Yes.
gone with more of that Netflix style show because it looks brutal, it looks gruesome, it looks intense, and I mean, it got me just that much more excited for
Mhm.
this.
Yeah. And I said this in my video on Daredevil Born Again trailer that because I haven't watched the Netflix show, and I know like I really should watch the Netflix Daredevil at least because it's going to give me more connection to Daredevil. But right now I have so much more of a connection to Kingpin with what he's shown up in and how great that character was in Echo that Kingpin in some ways sells me more on this show than Daredevil does in it.
I think it's really interesting that you are going to go into this without having seen the previous three seasons. I'm going to
Mhm.
call it previous three seasons because it's very much a
Yeah.
continuation, in my opinion, um, of the Daredevil. Like you haven't, and
Hmm.
so for you to not have some of maybe the references, like I know you might understand the like the artwork image that of the white
Yes.
rabbit thing, and
Yes.
but it in Vanessa and that relationship and there's things you're not gonna quite get, but I'm wondering what it's gonna be like for you. A, will you
Hmm.
need to, is it necessary for you
Hmm.
or even any audience?
Yeah, because
To
there's going to be a chunk of the audience that didn't watch those shows.
Yeah, I know. So I'm curious to see how this comes
Mhm.
out in the end for you. Like,
Mhm.
does it hit as hard? Is it? We
Yeah.
obviously we're not going to really know because we again can't separate these two. You're making a choice, and we can't go
Hmm.
both directions as much as that would
Yeah.
be cool. But
Well, and there's also other stuff. Like, yes, I do actually know a fair amount of some of this story.
sure,
And like I know Daredevil comics to some extent as well. And so I have like my different pieces of knowledge, and I wonder how much it is like tonally, it definitely is going to tie in, and they're definitely going to refer to history with characters like Punisher that we see in the trailer,
bullseye.
Bullseye, Fisk, but how much of it is going to be dwelling on their past relationship and specifics of it versus just we were enemies before or whatever it might be?
Yeah.
Because that's a question I had, but I mean, I loved Vincent D'Onofrio in that trailer and the two of them just sitting down and talking it out in the diner.
Mhm. Right. And it's definitely got that tension to it. And oh man, I think you're gonna want to go back after and watch the original
I could
Netflix
watch the
series.
recap.
I know, but it's not the same. But
Might be enough for me.
it's fine for Luke Cage and Iron Fist. That's fine.
And the Defenders.
Yeah, probably.
No, and it's not necessarily that I don't want to watch those. I have started Daredevil, and I just have not made the time to watch it over some other things because getting a hand, not a handful of episodes, but 3 or 4 episodes in, I forget. I was just like, this is enjoyable, but
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm not just like at the edge of my seat, what's going to happen next?
Right. And it is. Maybe I'm talking it up more than it like it's definitely not like amazing, right?
Hmm.
It's really pretty good in a lot of areas and it's very character heavy and
Yeah.
so there are points in time when I'm like, God, this is kind of running a little bit slow. It needs to, but it's forgiving for what it gives
Mhm.
you. So
Yeah. And some of it too is, especially I think it's episodes 2 and 3, spend a lot of time with Daredevil's origin.
Mhm.
I've read the comics.
Yeah.
When you're spending a lot of time and kind of just slowly doing that, I'm less interested in it because I already know the origin story. It's kind of the situation of Spider-Man. I don't need to see Uncle Ben die again.
So when did Daredevil come out? When did that show first come out on
Um,
Netflix?
Somewhere in between 2000 and 2050, according to your timeline.
Um, I'm just thinking, like in today's obviously comic book world, and
2015.
okay, what other Marvel things came out in 2015? I'm kind of trying to like compare because I basically feel like for Netflix they probably wanted to do that because Marvel was well kind of at its maybe at its peak.
So Age of Ultron,
Oh yeah,
Guardians,
okay.
Agent Carter,
Yeah, so maybe they did. I'm trying
Ant-Man.
to. think they maybe needed or feel like they needed to add in that origin story because that's just where it
Fantastic
was.
Four,
Fantastic Four.
the Josh Trank one.
Oh, that train wreck. Okay. The Trank wreck.
Yes.
Anyways, I think that yeah, it's
Well, again, we had this conversation off
line.
recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, offline, off recording of I think about how much I know about comics in generally in the context of people who know more about comics than I do. There are certain YouTube channels, Rob from Comics Explained,
Mm-hmm.
is it?
Yep.
Coy Jandro from Real Rejects and his own channel, Hector Navarro. All of them I know a whole lot more about Marvel Comics than I do. But I also know that compared to most people, because I've read thousands of comics, I know more than most. So for me, an origin story is going to be less interesting because I've probably read an origin story for most characters or most of the big ones. For most people, their previous Daredevil experience, and we're getting way off track from the trailer, but their previous Daredevil experience was the Ben Affleck Daredevil, if they saw that.
Sure. But I think this Daredevil, the Netflix one,
Hmm.
it was very focused on character and character
Yes.
struggle. So like that's what I'm saying you need to get why you should watch them to harness what they were trying to
Yeah. And
portray for that.
I can appreciate it for that, but also because it has that origin story that I'm already familiar with at the beginning, it's really hard for
Yeah.
me to get sold on watching his dad die or be
Yeah.
killed. And it's like, I already know this happened. You could have given me 30 seconds on it
Yeah.
or less, and I'm good.
Understandable.
Especially when they're about an hour long each.
Yeah.
So it's
Yep.
like I just spent 2 hours watching stuff that I'm very familiar with from the comics, which
Yes.
again
Yeah.
is fairly irrelevant. But I do wonder, like, how much do they assume with this Daredevil Born Again trailer, which has done very well in terms of people watching it, people are excited for it. Um, are they, will they feel like they need to redo any of that? I don't think so, since the Netflix stuff is now on Disney Plus. People can go back and watch it if they want.
Hmm.
But I do think they're also going to treat it as we're going to have a good chunk of just a new audience as well. So let's not assume that our audience has watched Punisher, Daredevil, Defenders stuff.
Yeah.
And the
It's it's
trailer.
it, it's interesting. It is going to be
Mhm,
interesting what they, how much do you really are going to need? I think they're gonna make it so you don't necessarily have to, but probably
yep.
best if you do at least have an understanding of what happened.
Mhm.
I don't
I'm
know. Yeah.
I'm going to go with my Marvel TV to movie comparison. I think it's going to be a similar thing where the if you've watched the Netflix Daredevil show, it's going to enrich your enjoyment of Daredevil Born Again. But it's not going to be required watching, much like with the shows, like Miss Marvel is not required watching for having seen the Marvels. They tried to make sure that that was kind of the case. Kind of worked. Same with WandaVision wasn't necessarily required watching for the Marvels. But if you watch both of them, it increases and enhances your enjoyment of it because you know more about those characters.
Fair. I think with and this to me kind of a segue into one of my questions is like
Hmm.
for this show for the Born Again, like if you haven't seen the Netflix shows, are you going to and if Born Again decides to hint at some sexual tension between Karen and Matt? Because it seems like there was
Hmm.
some of that involved. I'm kind of spoiling. There's a spoiler there. Sorry. But fair game at this point, I feel.
Yes.
And there's so like it makes me just kind of wonder what they're going to do with those two characters. Is there going to be a
Hmm.
relationship? Are you going to do you really need to know that that kind of happened before? I guess it could be hinted at pretty easily. the
It,
other kind of aspect of that is what is Echo going to, is that going to come into this at all? Are we going to see
Mhm.
any sort of tie-in from that? So those are a couple things that were in my head about this trailer too.
So I haven't watched the New Rockstars, um,
Breakdown or the
yeah, breakdown or screen crushes because wasn't I believe I saw something about there potentially being another love interest for
Heather
Daredevil.
Glenn.
Yeah,
Yep.
in there too. So yeah, I assume that they're going to hint at some history, but hinting at history, tension between Karen and Matt is easy enough to do with to build that up quickly without people knowing what it was.
So here's something I thought about when I was thinking about Heather Glenn is
Hmm.
are they going to in the Born Again story, it's Karen Page who gives out Matt's identity to the
Yeah.
Kingpin, right? So are they going to switch it up a little bit and have Heather Glenn, maybe she's the one. Like maybe they have her and Matt in the relation like this show is kind of picking up after I'm assuming years. I think,
Yes.
I would assume,
Well,
right?
there's rumors that the first episode may potentially be set like during the blip
Okay.
or the
So
snap and blip, kind of that range.
So yeah, like has Matt moved on in a sense, or like at least is he in a relationship with Heather where it's serious enough where he feels like he's can share his identity at that point? And
Hmm.
then Heather Glenn in the comics has an alcohol problem. I think she's an
Well,
alcoholic.
is it Heather or Karen?
Well, Karen does in the Born Again, but I think Heather Glenn as well had that
Matt
same
picks
like an
winners.
addiction. What?
Matt Murdock picks winners.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's, you should stop going on Tinder for these dates. So I'm just kind of wondering if they're gonna switch it up a little bit. Heather's the one that gives out Matt's name.
Yeah.
She's the one that dies. Maybe, maybe that is where also then we get the that storyline. Like he doesn't want to be Daredevil anymore because it seems like
Hmm.
he kind of pulls back out of that.
Yes,
Maybe.
yeah, definitely
So
from the trailer it hints at that. Though
yeah.
he's also still sitting around with like four different masks.
Just living the old, in the glory
Hmm.
days, thinking,
Hmm.
oh, he's still got his tailors, right?
Yeah.
I guess maybe.
Yeah, I mean he picked one up in She-Hulk.
Yeah. So
Yeah. What was the other question you had tied in with that one too?
um, I was talking about so Echo.
Oh yeah, Echo. I don't think they need to do anything with Echo in this show if they don't want to, because Daredevil and Echo have history, but Echo is not in New York currently. Like whenever they decide to bring Echo back into New York, that's when you introduce her and bring her in as a character in the show.
Maybe season two. Maybe that's
Yeah,
when.
that feels more likely to me. Like give them a chance to really reestablish Daredevil here.
Wait, didn't she
And
come back to New York?
yes, but there's nothing that says they have to cross over, like story wise. Because if Fisk's, she's going after Fisk.
Yeah,
And if we're focused on Muse,
White
um,
Tiger.
White Tiger, Bullseye, Fisk, that sort of side of things, no guarantee we're going to have that crossover yet. And it's another character. And I mean, we didn't even mention Punisher, who
Oh yeah.
he doesn't look like he's had a fun time with his. That is a rough beard.
Um, oh, yeah, you mentioned Bullseye. Okay, so I wanted to talk about
Yeah.
my other idea on so there's a what is said in the trailer is talking about crossing the line.
Hmm.
Like he crosses the line in some way, shape, or form. We don't really quite understand, but
Hmm.
I'm wondering if it's possible that he kills like Bullseye returns, he kills Bullseye, or maybe nearly kills him, and that maybe that's what has him step back and not do the Daredevil thing for a while, or like causes them to maybe step back and think about
Hmm.
it a little bit. Um, or is it White Tiger maybe that he and so that kind of, White Tiger is only there momentarily. He kills, I think that's technically Muse's sister, right? So that might be a spoiler, but in the comics it's his sister. So could that be something where he steps back because of that? I'm just trying to figure out where the whole thing of crossing the
Yeah.
line comes into play. So those are just a couple ideas that I had of how that might tie in. So, or maybe because of Heather Glenn's death, she comes back, or maybe Karen Page dies and he comes back and feels like he needs to avenge that. But because
Hmm.
I don't know, or maybe not Karen, but maybe Foggy.
Yeah. Or, I mean, what if it's something that happened during the blip?
Hmm.
Like he blames somebody if Karen and Foggy get blipped, something like that, and he doesn't realize what happened, but Bullseye, I think Bullseye is a good possibility for this, shows up and is like, no, I'm going to take you out. Also, uh, Muse is name is just Muse in the comics. There's
Okay.
no family affiliations or anything like that to White Tiger.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I thought they were related. Okay.
But I could see something like that. Like he doesn't realize what happens immediately. He assumes that it is somebody else
Yeah.
who's done this, and he takes it too far. And
Yeah.
he's like, and then he realizes what's going on. He's like, the world right now doesn't need a superhero. They need a it needs a lawyer, basically, to
Yeah.
help settle down the world, help not necessarily a sense of normalcy, but a sense of we can pick up and we can create what the new normal looks like.
Hmm. If they are going to have part of the blip, I think that's awesome because I think that's not enough
Mhm.
blip explored, you know?
It is
And
true. It's also getting to the point where we're so far into it that it going back to the blip too much. Besides, like if they do like half the first episode or they do flashbacks within the first episode of that, if they do it too much, it feels a little bit too much like Black Widow. It's like cool, but we're already past that.
yeah, but it is a good explanation as to where Matt has been,
Hmm.
right? He feels that people need him in his city as a lawyer after these
Yes.
times to be a proponent of justice on the
Justice,
legal,
fairness.
right? After a blip has occurred, right?
Yeah.
Who knows.
So many people would try and take advantage of that situation.
Correct. Right. So, yeah, I think I really like that idea. I hope that's kind of where it goes. But there's so
Mhm.
many. I just had a lot of like ideas of what is going to happen with Karen Page. What's going on with Heather Glenn? Why is she involved? You know, like
Mhm. Well,
so.
and yeah, this again works really well if Karen and Foggy are blipped. He has 5 years. He assumes that they're never coming back. He meets Heather. They hook up. She's like troubled because of the blip. Like, who wouldn't be? Or
Mhm.
because of the snap, not the blip. That's the second one. But because of half the population disappearing, they're kind of good for each other. They both kind of grieve together. He hangs up his suit, but now that most of the people he's worried about are gone, and he's no longer the vigilante, and people who want him dead, most of them are gone or behind bars. He's like, yeah, that was my life, but the world needs me now more as this. And so it's
Right.
just part, like I've hung it up for good. So I can
Yeah.
tell you about it because it's no longer part of my life.
Right.
And then
Then
blip,
friends come
everybody's
back.
back. Everybody's back.
Hot for Karen.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
is now like conflicted about Karen, and that hurts Heather, who,
is not stable anyways at this
right,
point.
yep. I mean, yeah. And then she gives up the information to
Yeah.
somebody.
Right. She's like on a drunken rampage. Right. She's
Hmm.
just or leaving Las Vegas.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Interesting. It may be nothing like that whatsoever, but
Hmm.
there's Petter and I's idea of what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Um,
All from that first trailer.
yeah, I know, and I had the same kind of like, oh, what about this? Because I started thinking about Peter Parker and Doctor Strange's spell, and like, is
Hmm.
that going to have any tie-ins? And is there anything that happens with that? And I don't know, all just kind of interesting speculation. If that's a lot
Hmm.
to touch on, I doubt they're going to even go there
Yeah.
because it's too much. You know, it's too much happening in a story to
Hmm.
cover and to make sense.
This
So,
is, yeah, this is really one of those things, especially with reintroducing Daredevil as like the star of his own show. to an audience that is now bigger and different than what it was when the Netflix shows came out. So focus in on Daredevil for season one. And if you want to continue doing Daredevil Born Again season two, which we know is coming, Daredevil Born Again season three, four, whatever, that's when you start to bring in Echo in like season two. Then you maybe have a,
On.
yeah, what
I
was
was
that?
gonna say Sony. I was gonna say let just Sony just give up Spider-Man, and then we
Hmm.
can have a little Spider-Man cameo in
Yep.
Daredevil.
Yeah. So things like that, I think, could make a lot of sense.
Yeah. It was a really great trailer, I think.
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to like there's a brutal scene of an elbow pop,
Hmm.
like bones coming out the skin and stuff like that. I don't know if you saw that, but
Yeah.
um just some of that level of brutality. I don't get super excited for it, but I like the the realistic side of that, I guess, in a sense. So
Hmm.
um I
It,
just
yeah.
go ahead.
It's the right spot to have a dark, gritty thing, in my opinion, as a show.
Hmm.
Don't need to see it in a movie without it feeling, I mean, a 2 hour movie that feels heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy in a 1 hour, 40 minute to 1 hour show, but you get a reprieve pretty
Mm.
quickly.
Yeah.
So for me, I just like it better there.
I do hope at some point in time we get to see Daredevil less like somewhere in the MCU where he's less struggling
Hmm.
and more just kicking ass. That's all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just performing as Daredevil, and it's not such a drama about his personal struggles.
Hmm.
So
It, honestly, Spider-Man 4 be a great
perfect.
spot for it. Like
Yeah.
if you can get Daredevil, well, I don't think you would
Or
get the
Echo season
second.
2.
Yeah. Echo
Uh,
season two, but Echo's still dark.
yeah, but I mean, he showed up in there and they fought for a
Yeah.
little while, and that's exactly what I
Yeah.
was looking for. Like just
Yes. Yep.
great fight scene. So
Yeah. So, but I get what you're saying there. But like, yeah, Spider-Man is something where he teams up with Spider-Man
yeah.
for a fight instead of just being the lawyer.
Yeah. Or
Just,
like a like part of it. Like he just gets
mhm,
to join with somebody
mhm.
and work with them and off them, you know,
Yeah.
and tag team with somebody. So
Hmm. Yeah. But let us know your thoughts on the Daredevil Born Again trailer as well. Greg, do you have more that you wanted to talk about with that, or we cover most of it?
I think that was it. Yeah. That was all my notes on it. So
Yeah.
it'll be good. Looking forward to more.
Yeah. And not much time. The trailer was supposed to have come out, I believe, a couple days earlier, if not a little bit more. But because of the fires in LA, it didn't. Um, which 100% understandable. And thoughts and prayers with everybody out there who's been
Yeah.
affected by that.
Sounds like it's getting a little bit better, but
Hmm. But yeah, with that, let us know your thoughts on that. I did post on the community section of our YouTube. You can find that by going to www.youtube.com/at 10minmarvel. Community tab. Did you like the Daredevil Born Again trailer? 86% yes, 14% kind of, 0% no,
huh.
with 7 total votes.
All right then.
Yep. And yeah, again, Greg gave some ways you can also get a hold of us on X. Let me know your thoughts of the trailer at the Scando, or with hashtag 10minmarvel, or on Facebook by searching for 10 Minute Marvel and dropping a comment over there. But with that, we appreciate everybody who is checking out this podcast, checking out the videos, and taking part in the fun that we're having with Marvel stuff. We enjoy doing this every week. If you enjoy listening to us and the content that we put out, please tell your friends about it. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't. Leave a rating and review. You can find the podcast over on YouTube. Again, that's youtube.com/at 10minmarvel. Click on the podcast tab, check it out there, or you can search for 10 Minute Marvel wherever you get your friendly neighborhood podcast from. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com. Search for Nerdologists. The funds go to help improve the quality of this podcast, as well as the Malts and Meeples YouTube channel, the 10 Minute Marvel YouTube channel, and nerdologist.com website. But with that, see you next time.
Ace.